Alright, hello. Welcome back. My name is Rat. This is Under the Table. We are discussing The Strange Town of Golden Ridge. Technically Adventure 2, but really we can talk about the whole campaign as a whole. So, I'm gonna kick this one over to Mr. Pickles. You wanna kick us off?
Yes, because you guys are getting more information about the 3 occult adjacent factions within the town. You know about the Chosen of Flame. You know that apparently Detective Verde is involved with the librarians, even if he didn't know their name. And there's also the mimes, primarily ladies, that are all sort of fighting against this big threat that's underneath the city in the tunnels. That in Adventure 1, of course, you tackled that. You specifically dealt with one problem, at least. A group of these monsters, and you blew their frickin' brains out. And got a reward from the mimes? Detective Verde got a knife when he was in the hospital from being injured in his fight.
Yep. I don't know why they just gave it to me and nobody else, but I'm not going to complain.
So, what are your thoughts then on these 3 factions? Or are there any thoughts?
It's confusing because the librarians seem like they're mostly there just for the knowledge of stuff that exists, not so much to do anything with the knowledge. And I don't know anything about the Children of the Flame at all.
Chosen of Flame.
Chosen of Flame.
You know that they have a weird magical gun. And you know that there's sort of
a bag by a cat in a graveyard.
Or at least the cat knew where that bag was and led Travis King right to it.
Yeah.
So you know that the Chosen of Flame do have armaments. Well, a cat is just a snitch. And snitches get kisses. From me, I guess.
Yeah, it seems like there's a bunch of factions at play, really. There's those 3 main factions. We don't really know much about one of them. We've learned a little bit more about the mimes. We've learned a little bit about the librarians. And then you've got the squirrels, you've got the alien things, and you've got the zombie bears. And Paul.
Yes.
And the lady in the purple coat.
You have a lot of individuals, and then you have 3 main factions.
Yeah, there's just a lot of factors at play.
So who do you guys trust and distrust? Because I know you're with the mime here, and I know you have the comrade of Tim O'Hare. Just offhand, who are you trusting people? Or
I don't think Travis trusts anyone here at all.
So far, the mimes and O'Hare seem to be the most trustworthy. Not so much even the librarians in general, but O'Hare specifically.
And he referenced his colleagues. You know he has people he interacts with. And when he's given you tomes like he has before, like your character has occult knowledge, so you are connected to somebody who is giving you accurate information. Or theoretically accurate. Historically accurate. But, okay, yeah, so it is a lot of stuff where it's like, yeah, it's happening, but I'm not really sure where I have an opinion on it.
Yeah, because, there's an entire group we haven't even met.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, indeed. So
you've convinced your players that they're dead. How does that make you feel?
Honestly, I'm not sure how to feel about that. Because yeah, in retrospect with this adventure, when I write a campaign, I usually start with the initial steps of like things that I want to do and an idea that seems good to me early on. As I like go through the game, it can later be like, well, this is a little bit jarring in presentation, given the rest of the campaign that I've decided to write. Like in the initial stages of the writing, it can seem like it makes more sense, and then going forward, it's like, well, we're going to be more efficient about things. So it's a lot of setting things up, and as we go through this, I do hear you guys and your frustrations, which is enlightening to me as a writer to know that this was a different pacing of the stories that would be going on before. you guys felt more confident about the clues that you were going off of and where to go next in the previous adventure. Whereas this adventure, I
100%.
definitely hear you guys saying, I don't fucking know. Where do we even go? The woods seem dangerous.
Yeah, because, like, I also have to remember, like, I'm not playing a superhero. You know, I'm not playing Bjorn, who's like, oh, I can turn into Shadow and, you know, do all this crazy stuff. I'm just a bail bonds recovery dude. Like, I'm just trying to make a paycheck here. And they're like, here, come join our army of mimes and fight aliens and stuff. He's like, no. What are you talking about?
You are curious, though.
Yeah, I'm curious, and that's where I was trying to find a connection because, like, obviously, I want the story to progress and I want to continue the campaign. I have to figure out what would drive my character to do that. Like, what is the? Because I can't just be like, yeah, I'll do it. Why? I don't care. It's just because I'm playing this game. I was like, why would Travis King go and do that? So what I connected it to is, okay, we're investigating the aliens back in town. That is our investigation that we started. And I feel like there's still more going on there. The police are covering it up. That's a whole thing that I'm willing to investigate. She's like, hey, my group is at war with them. Will you help me with something that's causing a disturbance out here? I'm like, is that tied to that? Or are we just involving ourselves in some otherworldly war that we didn't really have a part in? And she goes, both, yes. I don't know. Whatever. Just help me. I was like, okay. I guess it's tied to our investigation. Sure. So that's where I was like, okay. The other part of me is, we're dead. Who cares? let's go on the adventure. So, like, the two main things that we need to well, there are three main things I want to investigate. One, the other cabin. I feel like that's just an area that has been mentioned. It's in our media area. Everything's weird around here. Maybe there's there's something buried in this cabin. Maybe there's something over there. Blah blah blah. But my character hasn't had a reason to just kick open that door and go do that. But now he just thinks he's dead. So I could be like, oh, I'm dead. Whatever. I'm gonna go kick open the door and be like, what up, bitches? I'm here to investigate. You can't stop me. I'm dead. So that's one thing. The other thing is the caves to the north. We found the blood trail, but he also said that there is a mine shaft to the north. And I would be interested in investigating that purely because we had something like that back in town that led us to the aliens. So I wonder if there's a similar thing going on out here that would give us more information about the alien things back home. I keep calling them aliens. It's just my way of referencing them.
I understand.
The third thing is helping her out and going towards whatever clues she can provide us. So that's the three things that I'm related to. And I know you, like, me being like, my character is going fucking insane and just thinks he's dead now, isn't the route you wanted to go. I know it's not true. I know it's not, well, maybe it is, I don't know. But it's not what I'm supposed to be going for. But, I mean, what sane person would look at this and be like, yeah, this is normal? So Travis King is coming to a town where everyone's like, oh yeah, whatever. And he's like, no, you're all fucking insane. Why are all of you acting like this is normal? And I'm the only one who's thinking, oh, because I'm dead.
My subconscious is saying all of this is not insane anymore.
Yeah. I don't know. Making logic out of chaos. So that's one
thing. That sounds like something Travis King would do.
Yeah, he's trying to find some sanity to all of this, and he's like, honestly, him coming to the conclusion that he's just dead has put him so much more at peace. Where he's like, oh, okay, now I can deal with this.
Explains so much.
It did. It really did. I know it's not. Well, it's probably not the actual answer, but it makes so much sense that he's like, oh, I get it. I get it now. Okay.
I think something important to remember here is that this is a infinite campaign. That I've limited the number of adventures that we're going to be doing so that the story does conclude at some point. And I guess that's why I was talking about writing earlier and having your early writing adventures being less efficient for where you're at once you finish later adventures. Like, this does feel a little bit less like a straightforward detective thing. There's not a lot of detective elements, and I feel like that's misleading given that it's sort of a detective campaign. And yeah, so I don't know. I guess under the table, I'm admitting that this adventure has some flaws in design, which is why I think you guys have been saying, like, I don't know what to do, in the sense of, well, yeah, you could go out in the woods, you could dive to the bottom of the lake, but those aren't very intuitive. And also, once you start to see evidence of weirdness, it's like, even then, do you risk going further when you're a mortal soul?
Yeah. What would you change then if you were to rewrite this adventure for future groups or whatever?
Um, I'd go with my gut. My gut, I wanted to make a adventure where you guys are just hanging out, and then no. That still wouldn't work. There's gonna be a serial killer that like bugs you guys, but
Mm. Yeah,
yeah,
like
I don't know.
something like that. I mean, I'm not the DM. I don't have all the pieces of the puzzle, but like something like, man, that's a tough one because like I keep thinking of like our talk about the supers campaign and like street level fighting, where it's like a problem that a bail bonds recovery agent feels like he would be capable to handle, whereas now it's like an army of mimes and secret librarians and magic and aliens, and he's like, I mean, I'm curious, but like, I'm just a bail bonds recovery agent, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And like my feeling is that, man, throwing in a lot of symbols at once, you could simplify, cut out a lot of these, and be focus on one thing. But that's the thing is you write like a 7 adventure campaign. It's like you want to give foreshadowing to later things.
no,
And
yeah, no, I get it. With King's Crossing, I'm trying to
it's like,
do the same thing. I
I
get it.
think my weakness as a writer
Yeah.
generally is then that if I provide a lot of things like, "Ooh, this is a thing for later," the fungus guys, you guys are gonna see that in Adventure 3, maybe. I don't know. And it's like, well, but here it doesn't really apply as much. It's something you see in the woods, and
I will admit,
I
it
don't know.
really helped me last adventure when we got to the crashed truck and you were like, it's a dead end for now. That helped me so much to where I could, like, okay, thank God, now I don't need to freak out
Really?
about that. I can focus investigating something else. Because if I just keep, like, oh, but what about that truck? What about that truck? And you're like, oh, you don't really have all the pieces right now, but you don't tell us that. I'm just gonna keep driving myself mad trying to investigate it.
Oh,
So I actually think that helped me a lot because then I could like box up that in my mind, set that aside, and be like, okay, I have that evidence for later. Now I can pursue this other path and dig into that one. So I will admit that just I don't know if it helped, but it felt like it helped. It helped me process it all. Um, so I still think that foreshadowing and like adding in all these factors is good because it creates a bigger story and it pieces start to fall into place and it connects and it's a great way to like unfold a really big story. So I think that's a great way to go. But if players start being like getting overwhelmed or missing stuff, you know, either like kind of not railroad them, but kind of point them in the right direction to be like, oh, like you could go this way to get more information, which I think you've done with like mentioning the other cabin. But again, I had as a bail bonds
yeah. You
recovery
have no
agent,
reason.
I have no reason to go kick in their door. Like that's illegal. Like,
You're charismatic though. You could be a friendly neighbor, but that's also weird, and
yeah,
that would be a hard role.
especially in a town where I found out that all this aliens and stuff are, and no one seems to care. And it's like,
And they could be aliens themselves. You never know.
yeah, and I'm like hanging out with a cop who I don't trust, and he's just like, yeah, I know the police are corrupt, but police are corrupt. What? I'm like, you know they are. What the fuck? Why are you pretending like they're not? You've seen it. Um,
Wait, did Fred? I feel like you've maybe wanted to comment here.
yeah, I'll shut up. Sorry.
You look like you had some words maybe at some point.
Fred is an idealist, I guess would be the best word when it comes to law enforcement. He doesn't like seeing the bad part of law enforcement. I won't say he would ignore it, but he doesn't go looking for it like someone like Travis might. If you know what I mean.
That makes sense.
So he may know somebody is a little bit corrupt, but he wouldn't know the full extent of it because he's not going to go look for it.
You also didn't like try and get anal about any of Travis King's indiscretions. Like, you're
Right.
a police detective. You didn't like get him in trouble for waving a gun around or anything. You might have been annoyed, but you never reported him for anything that might have been a transgression.
This is true.
Frederick is by the book if it suits the situation. Like when Travis was waving the gun around, he knew very well what he was doing. He's trying to get him to follow him.
Apparently, you guys knew that. I didn't know.
He knew he wasn't going to be cracking off rounds randomly, but that doesn't mean he likes the fact that Travis was waving a gun around, so he still followed him anyway.
I'm so sad those episodes were lost because that was just such a great moment. Both of you just being like,
Yeah, like I'm just no. Don't introduce your character that way. No, Travis, no. Travis King is cool. Like we had this thing. Like and we were at the casino. He's cool. Like he's cool. He's not a dick.
we had a great like one session, two
Me
sessions
with my brother.
of you and I just going, and then we brought in a third character, and I'm like, yeah, so I just started waving my gun around, and you're like, what now? What are you doing? It was great.
Yeah.
It worked.
Yeah,
I don't know. As far as storytelling goes, like I wouldn't change what you're doing. Because I will admit, like, I'm frustrated in the fact that I'm like, I don't know where to go next. But I'm trying to think like how I would handle that as a DM. Because I am similar. I like giving hooks, I like giving clues to different stuff, to foreshadowing, like, oh, you guys are gonna come into this story eventually, so I want to start dabbling in stuff about it now. Like that makes perfect sense to me. But you really, I mean, I don't know, going even as far as to be like, this seems like a dead end for now. You're not seeming like you're gonna get a whole lot more out of it. Perfect. I mean, yeah, that's very blunt and like not really a storytelling way to do it, but I don't know. That right there was like, okay, I've exhausted this trail of clues. I'm gonna go investigate this trail of clues now. And I guess it's kind of a way to point us in the right direction without having to be like, hey, go to the cabin.
yeah. Yeah.
That's a
I'm
tough
just
one.
looking at my next adventures, and it's like, oh yeah, I remembered after this adventure that the reason you're playing this is probably the detective shit. And
You told us to make detectives.
yeah, and it's why I'm like, I don't know what I was thinking here. I just like I made the first adventure, and then I went off track a bit, and then I got players, and it's like okay, and then I'm making more adventures, and I'm cutting things out. But once you start an adventure, I don't know.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
It might not be my strongest in this campaign, but
I even did something similar with that, where we were in the middle of King's Crossing with you guys, and then I was like, man, I really miss my revolution, like my knights on the ships and the naval stuff, and I was like, can I just retcon and you guys were on ships in a naval campaign? And I was like, no, I can't do that. You guys are already in the middle of an adventure. So, I get it, but I'm willing to work with you. I want to know, don't end the campaign, because now I need to know what the fuck the story is. Like, I gotta figure it out.
I've been trying to shorten it down to a point where, like, I am forced to actually tell a story and have it conclude. And, like, obviously, every story begins, that first act is you're in the, I don't know what's going on. Why is this house haunted phase? And then you start to get some research and you find out what's going on. You're like, that's a fuck ton of whatever. And then as you get more personal experience with these factions, is the intention, you'll be able to understand what's going on, how people are trying to handle things, and why you two are the most important ones.
Yeah, see, I think that perfect. I think what you just said is perfect, because that gives me hope that I'm like, okay, we are on the right path. Our path is to hang out with the mime lady and help her out for a little bit, just because it's kind of our only route right now, and that's perfectly fine. Because we're going to get experience with her, we're going to learn a little bit more. And hopefully we'll come to find out why we're important, because I'm sitting here like, why the fuck you wanna, like, I'm just a bail bonds recovery agent. Like, I don't
why
fight
the lake
aliens.
tattoo you?
Yeah, and she's like all this stuff, and like, I think that's great. How I'm gonna bring Travis King back from thinking he's dead, that'll be an interesting one. I didn't really plan that. It made sense, so I was like, oh, that makes sense. But I think over time, like, especially as he learns more about everything going on, he'll be like, oh, I'm not dead. Things are just really fucking weird.
Maybe you
Strange.
are the king.
Yeah, when you guys were talking about that, they're like, "Oh, the king." I was like, "It's me."
Is it?
No, I don't know. I'm not
I
a
mean,
king.
because you are king, but the mimes gave a royal sword to
Right.
Verde.
Yeah,
Wait, what?
I mean,
the dagger.
it's a magical piece of metal. Actually, yeah, that's that's the thing I wanted to talk about. So I've been sitting on this for a while, and I may have made some remarks to Wrath. I was itching for you to finally fondle that blade.
You made remarks after I brought it back up, to be fair. You didn't give me it. I brought up last adventure. I was like, "Hey, didn't you get a dagger?" And you're like, "Oh, yeah, this." And I was like, "We should investigate that." And then we haven't yet. And then after that adventure, he talked to me. He was like, "Hey, you guys were finally looking at that dagger that I gave you a while back and you haven't touched."
I mean, it happened now.
That's what you're saying, yeah.
I don't know how it is a royal dagger, but okay, that's cool, I guess.
I mean, it shapeshifts, and the mime seemed to think it was very impressive that you had it.
And Tim said that it must be like if somebody was to give that to you, that must mean they want something in return.
Right.
Which is to say, if you were to give a gift like that, it's like almost to a bribe level. Like, yeah, we'll give you this gigantic screen TV, and when we call on you to do electrical work for us, you'll do electrical work. Because in this case, you're an electrician being bribed by the mob.
Okay, that was awfully specific.
Yeah, that's like, yeah,
Trying to tell us
specific
something?
but non-campaign
Pickles, are you
related.
okay? You being bribed by the mob?
I don't know electrical work, and they want me to do it, but no. Yeah. So that's probably the approach though that Tim was seeing is you've been given a very substantial gift of a kind, and it happened to be the thing that he thought it was.
Did you guys discuss this whole you're friends with the Ghostbusters thing before?
No,
Because
this
I
was
never heard of
completely
that.
off the.
No,
Oh, okay.
I've
It
never
was
heard
off
of it
the cuff.
either.
Because like I had to take a whole connections and like spend points to get that, and you just have it.
That was more of just an improv thing, and
Okay.
not really a connection with the librarians. He just knows somebody
Yeah, it
as a
wasn't
cop.
a connection
Okay.
to a group. It's just this one random guy that I call sometimes when I have no idea what the fuck's going on.
So it's
And
like
he has the
Mrs.
occult
Wolferson
skill.
and I.
So I drew on the occult skill to be like, you learned that from somebody.
Somebody
You
taught
are a
that,
cop.
okay, yeah.
So I thought, is he part of an aristocratic social club? No.
Okay.
Is he a lady that might be into spiritual stuff and might be into the mime club by like affiliation? No.
Oh.
The librarians, academics that could be called upon.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
He probably, if he knows a Ghostbuster and referring to them as such, then it's probably he knows somebody who's in that group. But if somebody said the librarians, he might be like, "Fuck."
Yeah, I don't know what that is. I just know this weird guy.
Yeah, Tim
Okay.
O'Hare.
I'm gonna be completely honest.
He's a
gonna play it off.
parapsychologist.
I'm gonna be completely honest. I was gonna play it off like it was just like a ad I saw on the TV or something.
Like, yeah, this is this weird psychic on TV.
Yeah, exactly. And then
I-
Pickle's like, "Oh, okay." And then we get this whole story of the Ghostbuster dude
Well, that's
that I
where
call whenever.
That's a yes and right there, where you were like this, and Pickles was like yes, this, and you're like, oh, cool, it worked.
Yeah, cool. The thing I threw.
No,
out there,
I'm
that's
congratulating you. That's like peak. What is it? Theater, like where it's like yes and
Improv.
Yeah, that's well done.
Well, I felt like you guys were feeling lost. And I'm like, okay, I need a good hook, and I'm trying to think of a hook here. Being like, fuck, somebody who can help you out, something that would be like,
All three
this
of
is
us
the direction
were
to
lost.
go. And it's like, Ghostbuster, yes, yes.
We can
yes.
do this. Yep. That's
Yes,
what we're
and.
doing.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's where I was
But
like.
yeah.
That's where I was like. Let's build in the evidence room again, and maybe roll something so that we can find a clue that we missed, because we're not going anywhere, and we've been at it an hour. No, I'm excited. I think we've. This one was weird, but I think it. No, I wouldn't say it's bad. It's weird, but I think it fits the vibe. I think the whole idea of this campaign is that strange things are happening.
It is called The Strange Town of Golden Rage.
Right, and so it fits the vibe, and it creates that ambiance, that mood, that yeah, we're in the middle of some paranormal fucking shit. Your characters would react to that. I feel like, right? Like if
Yeah.
They should.
yeah, like if I threw you guys up against, I mean, it's like what we were talking about. If you're in a old world setting and you're like, you see the undead, they're like, oh, okay, Draugr, I kill it. But if you're in a new world setting and you're like, oh, you see the undead, people wouldn't be, well, I just did kill it. No, you'd be like, well, that's a fucking undead person. What the fuck? Like you would
That's
react.
a zombie run!
Yeah.
This guy's harassing me. He keeps following me around the store. Security! It's like, he keeps trying to kiss me. He bites you in the neck. Oh my god, he's kissing me!
Yeah. Yeah, like people
Yeah.
would react. And so I
There's
feel
more
like
politeness.
I feel like this session wasn't as like progressive as story wise, but I still think it played a part. Like it creates, if you put it together, it's one of the pieces of the puzzle that helps create the mood that you are going for, I think, with this campaign. The strange things, paranormal activity, all that, right?
I hope so, yeah.
I mean, I think so. I wouldn't chalk it up as a loss. I chalk it up as
Yeah, I
good
mean, it's
role
going
playing,
well.
mood setting, and at the end of the day, we did get a direction. We've met 2 different factions now, and we've got a connection, and we're gonna go pursue that. And I think that's a good way to go.
We
Yeah,
just got
and-
lost a little bit there because there was really no new information coming in.
Yeah,
Yes.
we had all our evidence, and we weren't getting any new information, and we couldn't, from what we had, we couldn't figure out what it meant and where to go with it, which might be on us. It might be in there somewhere, but we were like, I don't know where to go.
And I hope to address that. Like going forward, this is not going to be an adventure type that you see again. I think the adventures going forward is going to be more of like you're in town first off, so that you can purchase stuff at any time and be like, I forgot to make my inventory purchases. I'll send you my stuff because you can just buy stuff because you'll be in town. The adventures will be more on point detective stuff of we go to this place, we know people that we're looking for, we're going to talk to them about this thing. Like you'll have crimes that you investigate, and I think that'll be more structured in a way where you aren't as confused about where to go, just confused by like, oh god damn it, it's this thing probably again.
So I'm curious as far as our characters go going forward. So like I'm trying to think how I would play my character and keep our characters unique from each other. Like say the classic is like we go to a situation, we investigate it, we find the solution, right? So say during the investigation phase, am I the guy who like sets up the bugs and like cameras and evidence room and all that? To be honest, like I had fun with it, but I really feel like that's more his thing than mine. He's a detective. I'm a bail bonds recovery agent. Like, what would my role be? Would I?
Your role would be
charismatic.
more of the kicking the door in.
No, you're charismatic. You are a smile. You are a grace. In the sense that like your character works well at boosting other people, reliable, and I don't want to just have it be, oh, you get 1 free support reroll. I would like reliable to be more than that, and have it be something that when you back people up, even if we don't use that free reroll, you inherently boost people. And you're charismatic. So when you go into a room and you're trying to make an ugly flower blossom, you are inherently like you'll make that situation happen when it doesn't really matter to me. Like if you were to like improve the self-esteem of a dumpy secretary through helping her ask somebody out, I wouldn't make you roll for that. That would just be a really beautiful moment.
I just think
why.
at the end of the day, like he is a
yeah.
detective and has. I feel like I've been playing my character poorly, and that's unfortunate. I got to figure out how to like bring it back around to get it to be more of a detective. And I kind of now I'm like, damn, I really wish I would have made a private eye or something because I feel like I might have gone too niche with it, and like a bail bonds recovery agent really doesn't fit. Which is
Okay.
I will
unfortunate.
Hold up.
say a bail bonds recovery agent is very, very niche.
Yeah, I feel like I might have gone a bit too niche with it, which is a tough one. Maybe
It was a tough one.
Travis
Hold
King
on, hold on.
did Travis King die, and I can just make a new character and that might
No,
fit.
hold on. It is like it was a little bit of a wrench for me because I thought Private Eye made the most sense, like the roasting
Yeah,
stream.
I see it. Yeah,
But you can keep going as a bail bonds recovery agent. It's like you're looking for people who have disappeared and you need to hunt them down. That's fine. You can also be like, I don't want to do this anymore, and I want to use my savings, become a private eye. You can change career because you do have the skills, and because you are a dynamic person who is alive, probably.
Yeah, I think that's going to be my... During the course of this adventure, because we're out in the middle of the woods for the remainder of this adventure.
Yeah.
Supposedly. Okay. I think during the course of this adventure, Travis King is... By the end of this adventure, the idea will be that Travis King is going to go back to town and be like, yo, I'm not here to just chase down guys who didn't show up to court. Like, there's something else going on. I'm going to become looking into that. So that could just be a private eye. We'll call it private eye for now. I might look around and see what other like occupations might fit that.
You could go work with Fred.
No, I don't trust the police department.
Well, I mean, I think he means like you could he could retire from the police. And if, let's say, we had a filthy rich benefactor who is a hacker with a lot of tech knowledge, you three could form a pretty badass private detective agency.
That's true.
Where you work for yourselves, where you are the three that are like, I mean, Detective Verde knows the law pretty well, and he has connections, but also a charismatic boy of our own has some connections.
I feel
you
like...
don't even need the experience to be in there.
Yeah, I feel like if we did that, I would definitely know how to play Travis King. Like, he would be the door kicker, charismatic, like, hey, what up, guys? Like, he doesn't really follow the rules. He's very chaotic, but he knows the rules to where he would know, like, he would have Fred to help him, like, skirt the rules. I feel like it would work.
Fred would be the one leading it, and you would be there, like, your bubbly personality. You're the Chris Tucker here to the Jackie Chan. Jackie Chan's more the dour one, being like, okay, look, I really want to protect the consulate's daughter, I think is the plot of Rush Hour 1. And Chris Tucker is there, full charisma.
Those movies are still on my watch list for movie night sometimes, so...
Oh, we need to watch Rush Hour then.
Yeah.
Because Chris Tucker is... I love his charisma there.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is Travis King, is the Chris Tucker energy, like trying to make Jackie Chan laugh a bit, but Jackie Chan's like, I don't trust you fully because I'm working with the Chinese FBI. And Chris Tucker's like, I'm LAPD.
Yeah. If we went that route, I would 100% know how to play. Like, that would make so much sense at the end of this adventure to go, like, hey, like, appreciate you bail bonds recovery stuff, but I got other stuff going on. There's that whole thing. I'm gonna go become a private eye with my friends, and we're gonna investigate aliens and mimes and shit.
You would still have your connection though, with what's her face with the bail bond recovery. You could include that. You could say we're opening it up to even more private agency. That comes up. Got a lot of options.
Yeah,
you got a lot of options, brother.
Yeah, that would make more sense to me. Like, I would totally understand that and be able to roll with that.
But yeah, so hopefully we'll see how things go next session. I feel like with this adventure, yeah, we get a lot of weird stuff each session, and
no, like I said, I think it wasn't as much progression. Yeah, it wasn't blah blah blah. But I still think it was progression as far as mood setting. And this right here, if you wanted my personal take on why this session is a success, this would be the turning point where Travis King quits his job, becomes a private eye, and fully dives into this. This would be the point. So I call that a win.
The question is then if he doesn't trust Fred, why would he go into business? Why would he go into business with him? Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, that is a good question.
Because you're the only other. Well, because you're willing. Because you're the only other person who's actually. You're probably just there to keep an eye on me and be like, yeah, I'm still working for the cops, but I'm here to keep an eye on you.
Wait, that's a good point though. You two have seen the same things. You might not agree with how to approach issues. You might not necessarily like each other at all times, but you both have seen the truth. And in sociology, we call that the cohort effect. You have been through something together.
Well, that was the basis of the Traveler game.
Yeah, you've been through a suffering together, and oh god, my Traveler.
Not that that's a great reference because that group fell apart. But
what if by the end of this campaign, Fred realizes that the corruption is a whole lot more widespread than he thought it was.
The day
By the
I
end of the
see you, the
campaign-
day I see you handcuff the police chief is the day I'll trust you.
By the end of the campaign, I believe that Fred will respect and miss Travis King.
That's a stretch.
I think it is, but I also
No, I
have dark plans.
I think our characters work well together, and I think there is a good, like you said, Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker dynamic there. But the dynamic there is that they're so different that they're gonna clash.
They do clash, but
Yeah.
then they come
clash a
to
lot.
understand each other.
Yeah, but they work together because no one else will, because we're the only ones actually doing something about it.
Yeah, no, that's exactly the case, actually. Rush Hour. That's like the thing is like nobody's taking this case seriously, but these two guys who don't agree with each other see that this shit's fucked up. And they're like, okay, no, we don't agree, but let's investigate. That's the trust that I hope to develop with you guys.
I know we've probably talked it to death already, but what about what's clashing with Travis and Fred so much, and then why do they still work together so well with them clashing like they do? That is the questions I'm kind of curious about from Wrath's point of view.
What's clashing? I mean, you've threatened to kill me like 3 different times. Normal people don't do that. You're not just like I don't think I've ever told Pickles, hey man, I really fucking want to shoot you in the face.
Yeah, but
No.
you're not from New York City. And I feel like...
And I'm also not a cop. Like that right there, I was like, what the fuck? Like, I saved your life. You're like, I want to shoot you. I'm like, I saved you.
But I'm
like,
also really, really pissed at you.
Yeah, like you're like, I'm mad at you. I was like, I saved your life. I hate you. Okay, then go back in there and die. I just won't save you. I don't know what to tell you. Like, you're welcome. Like, that giving over the evidence to the cops and then being like, oh yeah, it's raccoons, and you're like, yeah, it's raccoons, and I'm like, no, what? You're like, yeah, no, it's fine. We're going on vacation. I was like, why are we going on vacation? You're just okay with all this? Like, yeah. It's like,
I can see why that would bother Travis.
Yeah,
but
especially Travis is new to town. You've been here, like, all this stuff. This isn't new stuff. This stuff's been going on for as long as time, far as Travis can tell. And everyone in town is just like, yeah, there's just like caves that we just don't go into. I'm like, but there's like aliens, and they're abducting people, and you guys are just, yeah, we just try not to notice it.
Yeah, and then like most of the town probably knows, hey, yeah, that's probably not a raccoon, but whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and it's not
and-
specifically like Fred that he just doesn't trust anyone, because so far it seems like all y'all are fucked up. Fred's just another one that's in that group, and he's like, And I can't remember exactly what it was. There was something on the road out here when we stopped at like the gas station that we were talking, we were saying stuff, and that's when Travis was like, I don't remember what it was. I'd have to go back and watch the episode.
It was the hanged mime incident.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
was
guys
something
were
you
talking
saying
and things were tense.
Yeah, you were saying something, and Travis was like, okay. Yeah.
You were both talking about the police and why you were out here and why their reactions to like the raccoon stuff. You were being like,
basically, yeah. Okay,
and I believe Detective Verde was like, well, he was doing the weary minded, like, I don't try and question shit that's not really that important. We dealt with the problem. But you were like, that's fucking not how it happened.
It seemed like he was just trying to brush it off and like get me off the case, and I'm over here like, okay, you covering for him too? Okay.
To Fred, that incident's like everybody in town knows very well it was not raccoons, but everybody outside of town doesn't need to fucking know. You know what I mean?
Why not? Call the government. Shit's fucked.
Because that would call down a whole lot of unwanted attention on the town that nobody wanted.
I want it. Go save this town.
You
This town's infected.
only one in town that wants it, though.
I'm gonna walk out and go call the FBI and be like, yo, that town's fucked. Get in there.
Dude, there's like giant fucking
Yeah, like that's what they're there for. Call the National Guard, man. Like, what the hell? I'm a bail bonds agent. You need National Guard. You need military presence.
That's another difference between Fred and Travis. Is Fred was actually born and raised in the mountains, so
Yep.
he was born around here.
Yeah, that's
So
another
he
reason why I
knows-
don't trust him. He's like, yeah,
he knows-
I'm an alien. I'm like,
He
Fred!
he knows the status quo, so you know.
And
Yeah.
the hill
Um,
people are considered strange even to the people in Golden Ridge. Like steeped
So it's
in
a
the
miracle
culture
Fred
of
even got
weird
that job.
things, and so he's the detective from out of town with bad luck, and that's why you're the bottom rung detective
right.
in this
Instead
town.
of the corrupt dude that's
Yeah, the
running around.
pompous son of a bitch.
That's another thing we're gonna have to investigate.
He
is-
plants shit on people.
I do
You
plan
don't.
to investigate the cops a bit more, so that's gonna be another thing we're gonna have to look into at
That
some
would
point.
be an interesting thing to do.
Well, before
Fred-
we left, I wanted to bug your captain's office, but Pickles wouldn't let me.
Fred would have to be given a very good reason to go along.
I mean, dude,
Other than
the guy's a
shit
dick to you
fucked.
every. If you think like Travis King is a dick to you at any point, multiply that by 7,
Travis
and
is
that's
not
a-
a dick to anyone.
and that's the detective that's higher than you, the senior detective. That
Right.
he's very condescending to you, and
But just because he's a dick doesn't mean he's done something that needs to be investigated. At least in Fred's eyes,
he's got a lot of luck.
yeah, the complete opposite of Fred.
Yeah, well, yeah, Fred, you play by the rules.
Mostly,
Well, yeah, but
except when it comes
mean-
to Travis, apparently.
yeah. Anyways, I feel like this might be a good point to wrap things up here. There's a lot of tension, a lot of clues. We're like 2/7 into the campaign.
Oh, good lord!
Adventure 2 of 7. I'm hoping to maybe reduce it down to 6 adventures, but I don't want to like cut anything too short. So, you guys are going to be able to deal with problems at a certain point. My intention is for you to not die, so hopefully you don't get shotgunned to the face.
Unless we're already dead.
Yeah,
Not
if you're already
dying.
dead, it doesn't matter. I
Yeah,
can kill you
yeah,
as much
yeah.
as I want.
I can't
Not
die.
dying is really nice, you know.
Anyways, yeah, that I feel like this has been under the table.
This is Under the
I-
Table.
I
Thank you
can't-
guys for joining, and we'll see you next week for more if you're on the live streams, if you're watching these on YouTube. Thanks for watching another episode. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that stuff, and we'll see you in the next one. Later.
Adios.